Hi guys!
Welcome.
We're sharing this video with you today to tell you a bit more about our story.
Probably to occupy some time while Morgan forgets how to smile.
It's true, but I'm hurrying up though.
I will push her along as fast as possible, I promise.
So sit back, enjoy some hot chocolate and cookies, and we'll be in soon.
Alright, see you guys soon.
Enjoy! So leading up to the time before I met Adam, I was not really considering online dating at all. I never thought about it. Really thought it was for people who couldn't get out and meet people, who didn't have a social life. Anyways, I took a trip up to Boone, North Carolina to see some old teammates catch a football game. And Stephanie was one of my teammates, and she made a comment of, why aren't you trying it or give it a shot? And she had been to 3 weddings that year, people who met online. Just give it a shot, try it. Another teammate, Terry Pfister, chimed in, and it was pretty much like, make sure you pay for the site. If you have a free site, it's going to attract some weirdos, so don't do that. So put it in the back of my mind, didn't even think about it. We went, it had to be 6 months later, and just popped into my head one day. I was like, you know what, I'll try it. So eHarmony was the first one that popped into my head, and they had a free 30-day trial. So I was like, okay, so people can pay for the site, not getting complete weirdos by the free trial, maybe. So made an account, and it takes a long time to fill out their questions. It took me 3 days. And so the first day was just tons of background questions, filled them out. Second day, some more questions. Third day, here's a few people for you to look at. So Adam was actually on there for the few people to start looking at. So it was only on there for 3 days before we started talking. So it was pretty easy, actually.
So leading up to meeting Morgan, I was, obviously had graduated from Liberty. I was working at the real estate office here in Lynchburg. And obviously hadn't dated anyone in a while. And just basically had been looking around, kind of had finally just said, well, when timing's right, it'll all happen and be in place. And somebody, actually a couple people kept mentioning, well, why don't you try, online dating. One person that I had worked with, we were at a conference table at the office. And basically he said, me and my wife met online, and highly recommend it. You can't knock it until you give it a try. And I'm like, there's no way that I'm doing that. There's no way. And so I had heard of friends meeting people on Christian Mingle or eHarmony or Match.com, what you see online. And so one night I may have been a little lonely. No, just kidding. But I decided just to sign up. It was a one of the free weekends on eHarmony, and I said, all right, I'm going to do the free 30 days. I'm not doing any more. I am definitely not paying for this. So I signed up. I went through the 1 million questions that they asked, and hit the submit button, and I was like, all right. Bring me my life. And so I was laughing the whole time because it was like, this is not going to work. I don't even know I'm doing this. So I am on there. I smiled at a couple people. And I think 3 days, basically Morgan was on there. We started a conversation. And that's officially how we met, guys, is eHarmony. You may have heard me say that we met on campus, but really it was eHarmony, and it was the best free 30 days of my life as I met my bride. So in the days coming up to our first date, I had mentioned to Morgan that Liberty was hiring a new softball coach, and rumor has it that it was Dot Richardson, who apparently was one of Morgan's very favorite softball players growing up. And she had mentioned to me, she was like, there's no way Dot would never leave Florida and come to Lynchburg. Why would she do that? And the next few days it was announced that she was the new softball coach, and I kind of rubbed it into Morgan that I was right and she was wrong. And I think Casey encouraged Morgan to email Dot and ask her for a position on the team, because Morgan had been accepted to start her grad school here at Liberty. And so I believe that Morgan emailed Dot one night late and asked if she had any spots on the team where she could be a part of. And apparently Dot had emailed her back pretty quickly, and Morgan was just too afraid to check her email. And finally checked it, had an email, and told me, I remember the text that says, "Guess what?" And I go, "What?" And she says, "I have an interview with Dot Richardson tomorrow." And I was like, wait a minute, what? And so she told me, and it was very spur of the moment, but Dot had asked her to come in for an interview at the baseball stadium, and Morgan wanted to meet up afterwards. So our very first date was after her interview with the legendary Dot Richardson, and I could only just imagine what Morgan was feeling at that time, because not only was she meeting her childhood hero, but also she was meeting the person that she had met on eHarmony. So I pull up in the Mustang that I drove in the baseball parking lot and picked her up, and we went to lunch at Crown Sterling here in Lynchburg. Obviously talking 4 months in advance before meeting, we had known a lot about each other, and we're very, very comfortable. The date was super, super relaxed, and it couldn't have went better. The little funny part about the first date was after I dropped Morgan off and went on about my way, headed back to work, is that I was driving down University Boulevard, and she calls me, and I go, "Did you leave something in my car?" And she goes, "No, my car won't start." And she says, "But it's okay. If you're busy, you don't have to come back. I can figure something out. I really don't know anybody here, but if you're busy, you don't have to come back." So I was like, "Are you crazy? You don't know anybody here." So I turned back around. Her battery was dead, and it was in a spot where I really couldn't necessarily plug up the jumper cable. So I called LUPD, and they brought the jumper box out, started the car, and I said, "Well, we probably should get you a new battery." So I was going to lead her to Advanced Auto Parts. So she got behind me. We were on our way. I was turning at a stoplight and looked, and she wasn't behind me anymore. And I was like, "What the heck? Where did she go?" And I looked a little further in my rearview mirror, and she had broken down again in the middle of the highway. And I can always remember it, obviously growing up, that dating somebody, maybe they had a super nice hot rod car or something, and I turned back around and Morgan's sitting in the middle of the highway in her Saturn. I said, "Oh, this is a great way to start our first date." And her battery had died again. She had turned on the radio and the air conditioner and all that good stuff after her battery had died. So of course it died again. But that was the funny part about our first date, and something that we probably will never, never forget.
The first time meeting Adam, we had talked for about 4 months through online texting and everything. So I decided it was time to meet, have lunch. I had just finished up an interview for the day here in Lynchburg, and he was going to pick me up and we were going to go out for lunch. So I wait in the baseball parking lot at Liberty's campus and for him to come pulling up. I knew he drove a Mustang by the time. So every Mustang that drove by, I was like, "Oh, it's him." No, it wasn't. there's a lot of Mustangs on Liberty's campus that I didn't know about. So finally, the 15th Mustang rolls along, and it was him. He pulls into the baseball parking lot, and I get out of my car, and we say hi, and we're off to lunch. So at lunch, I remember it being, it's not your normal first date. Like, we already talked for 4 months. We knew everything about each other. So our first date ended up being like, so how's your family? How did this trip go? It made it a bit easier for a first date, honestly. And went great. Finished our lunch. And he was dropping me back off. And drops me off to my car. We say goodbye. He pulls away. I get into my car and it doesn't start. So I have a few car problems at the time, so it wouldn't start. I pick up the phone and I call Adam, and I'm like, so you're the only person I know in town. If you're busy and you have to get back to work, I understand, but my car won't start. I need some help. So he was nice enough, of course, and came back around, helped me get it started, called campus police, and they brought the little starter pack. And got it started. I was following him to the store to get a new battery, and in the middle of an intersection, it died again. So he was driving, noticed I wasn't behind him still, and so he circled back around. We were in the middle of the intersection and started my car again, and finally made it to the store to get a new battery. But for a first date, it went really well. Had the exciting times of, I don't know, we drug it out a bit longer with the car breaking down, so.
We just wanted to come at you with an interesting piece of information about old Pate and Morgan. I got Justin with me. It didn't start out exactly as you know it today. We actually knew of Morgan as M. Price.
Just M. No Morgan. Just M.
Just M. I will say that it was quite the adventure trying to figure out who M. Price was. We had a couple of ideas.
Let me speak on that.
Yeah,
so obviously, Adam had been being all shady about it, and phone would pop, buzz, it'd be on the coffee
Shady.
table.
Hey, shady.
Yeah, it's an M Price, you know. So obviously, what do you do in 2014, 15 when something like that happens? 13, one of those. You Google it. So we Googled M Price, Lynchburg, Virginia, whatever. We found a 40-year-old M Price who was in real estate, logical connection. So we got
Perfect
concerned.
match.
Concerned.
Perfect match.
You got something else?
Well, it was a perfect match. I really thought that it would be exactly what Adam was looking for. Just kidding. So anyway, we started. I mean, Facebook the whole nine. We were totally stalking. And anyway, so yeah, Morgan was non-existent till how many months later?
That was
the real Morgan.
April, May. We didn't find out that Morgan was Morgan. She was just M until August. And then she remained M in his phone until, still?
Quite a while.
I think she's still M.
I was pretty sure that it was totally an internet thing, of which it actually ended up being. It was eHarmony. Pretty cool thing.
Caught
but
you.
I think he was trying to hide it. He didn't. We knew it the whole time. Or actually, I had a hunch. But anyway, we were right. I usually am. But anyway, so then we met Morgan, and she's actually really awesome. And M. Price is not nearly as cool as Morgan Price. We wish we'd have known who Morgan was from the get-go, but hey, we ended up meeting her. Great experience. She's going to be awesome for Adam, and I'm really excited.
And just in case you didn't know, Morgan's not 40.
Yeah.
And yes, we are very excited for Adam and Morgan, and look forward to spending a lifetime as their friends.
Stop believing. Hold on to that feeling.
Before our family ever met Adam, we had a nickname for him. Morgan told us that she had met someone and they were talking. And of course, we had to see a picture of him. And ever since I've seen a picture of Adam in the back of my head, he reminded me of someone. And it wasn't until a couple weeks after that I put 2 and 2 together. So Adam, before you were ever Morgan's boyfriend, Morgan's fiance, and as of right now, Morgan's husband, to us, you were Cabbage Patch.
So apparently I had a nickname to the Price family before I even met them.
My sister was very quick to name him Cabbage Patch. It's because of his adorable cheeks here. But that was the very first text I got from Casey after she realized that Cabbage Patch was a fitting name, was, "How's Cabbage Patch doing?" And then it called on with my dad and mom, and when I called home, it was like, how's Cabbage Patch? It's like, guys, he has a name.
Yeah, that's a wonderful name. So the first time that I met Casey, I walked up and introduced myself. I said, "Hi, I'm Cabbage Patch." And I don't think she realized that Morgan had told that story, so she kind of looked a little embarrassed about it, but she definitely kind of laughed on that situation.
To my kids, it should just happen like this.
So the first time I met Adam's friends, we were over at their apartment to eat dinner. Adam had cooked for the night. I get to the door, walk in. My assumptions were it's 4 guys living in one apartment, so don't expect too much. Just the opposite. It was very clean, neat, and awesome food. So Adam cooked ribs and baked beans that night. Obviously no vegetables involved. But I can remember when we were starting to clean up. It was Tyler was there, Justin, and the conversation was great that night, but we started to clean up and the food was great. I was like, he can cook, this is great. And so I made the comment of, well, if you can cook, I can certainly clean. So I grabbed the dishes and started cleaning. Tyler made the comment of, you better put a ring on her now. And so he obviously knew the truth of Adam loves to cook, but doesn't love to clean up. So that was the big thing that stuck out the first time I met Tyler. Justin, that night, he's easy to talk to, a great friend of Adam's, and just made the conversation go well. I wasn't too awkward that night, I guess, but very thankful he has some great friends.
So all of you know that I am a huge drag racing fan, and when looking for someone, I was very much hoping that they would be interested in, you know, racing and drag racing and things like that. So my dad and I have a tradition that we attend ZMAX Dragway my birthday weekend every year, and it was coming up where Morgan could go, and so I took her to the very first drag race there.
I grew up in Kannapolis, North Carolina, so very familiar with NASCAR racing. So drag racing at first was like, oh well, it's gonna be the same thing. So I can definitely keep up with some of the lingo they were talking about, but most of the time I was completely lost as to what was going on. And got into the stands for the first time to see a dragster go down, and Adam pulls out his camera. I think he's taking a picture, so I sit there and smile for him, like awkwardly, but he's taking a video the whole time and just doesn't tell me. So the video he has is me like smiling at the camera for a long time and finally giving up on it. So I turned to watch the dragster, and these things roar. Like when they go off, you can feel it, like it moves you, it makes you jump. So of course he knew it was going to happen, and he has a video of it of me jumping. But it was pretty cool. Definitely different than NASCAR. Another part is you get to walk down through the pits, and when the dragsters, I don't know what it is, some type of gas that comes out of the back of it, but it burns your eyes really bad. So all of the fans, you see the big guys that think they're hot stuff, and they go up close to the cars, and so and so one of the cars started to start up, and I was like, oh, the crowd's walking that way, we should walk that way too. So he pulls the back of my shirt. He's like, no, come back here. I was like, what?
Gabe started walking closer with my other friends, Justin.
So Adam's roommates walk closer, and he just lets them. I guess it's a guy thing. But I want to follow him because I don't know what's going on, but he's like, stay back. And I was like, why? And it's another bad habit. I'm like, tell me why, or I have to go figure out. So he's like, just trust me, stand back here. So that car starts up, and all the fumes and the smoke come out of it, and you just see people running away. So they're crying, their eyes are watering, and I'm like, oh, that's why.
And Gabe comes back, and he is dying, and as far as his eyes are red, and he's crying, and he's like, you didn't tell me that was going on. And Morgan finally figures out why I was holding her back. I could have been very mischievous and let her go straight forward, but I held her back where I was standing there.
Alright, so another thing Adam has going on is this whole Ford, die-hard Ford fan. So that was actually one of the first questions he asked me when we first started talking. was Ford or Chevy. And I said, well, every truck my dad has had is a Chevy, so Chevy fan. And he's like, ugh.
I almost ended it then. Blocked her, deleted her, everything.
He's like, I could tell you're a Chevy person. But I guess I'm not a Chevy person. I really do just like to pick against people. So if they say they're Duke, I'm Carolina. If they say they're Redskins, then I'm cheering Cowboys. I don't like the Cowboys, but I just kind of like to cheer against people or give them a little hard time. So he's diehard Ford. I don't think that's ever going to change.
I think all of you know that.
But I've joked so many times when it came time to get rid of my Saturn that I was just going to go buy a Chevy. And he said he was going to break them?
I threatened. I really threatened. And her mama did not like that, just for the record. But I ended up talking her into buying a Ford, a beautiful Ford Edge. And she loved every minute of it. But one thing her dad texted her afterwards was that he said that his tools did not work on Fords, and that if something happened to it, then he would not be useful to that. So we both laughed at that, and I said, well, that's okay. My dad was a Ford mechanic for 30 years, so we're okay. We're not a problem. Plus, Fords don't break down.
Apparently. Alright, biggest pet peeve that I have with Adam is for how clean he likes to keep stuff. He's not very well organized with it. So there's a lot of piling papers on the desk that would drive me crazy, and the car that he keeps immaculate on the outside gets a little messy in the back seat too.
I would say probably for Morgan. I have endured this with my roommate Tyler, but I walked into the room the other day and noticed that every single light was on except for one. And I didn't say anything about all the lights being on, but what I asked her was, I said, babe, you missed one. And she looked at me like, what? And I was like, you missed one of the lights. You didn't turn one of the lights on. We're going to die here, you know. You got all of them on except for one. And she responds back and says, well, that one doesn't have a bulb. So this whole thing about meeting Morgan on campus, I do need to clear that up. For the record, I did not lie to you about that. The first time I did meet Morgan, it was on campus. It was at Liberty's baseball stadium. I did meet her online on eHarmony. That's the part that I kind of didn't tell anybody for a while, but that is now out to the public, and all you guys know. But that was our first time meeting.
So the time leading up to getting engaged, I wasn't the most patient person. I'm sure Adam can tell you that. We've dated for about 2 years, and for me, I wasn't going to date anybody unless I knew I was going to marry them, so I was ready a lot earlier than he was. We've taken a lot of family vacations together, so our families go on cruises a lot. I was on a cruise with his family the August before we got engaged, and I think at that point I was ready to get engaged. So most of the year I was looking for, oh, it might be now, or he could be now. But looking back on it, he was not even thinking about getting engaged at that point. So it came Christmas time. I was like, oh, this would be great. Christmas. That's when he was going to do it. Nope, he probably wasn't even thinking about it then. So then we get into softball season, and our team is taking a trip down to Florida. We spent 2 great weeks down there, and Adam decided he was going to fly down and have me Valentine's Day. I was like, oh, he's going to do it now. Nope, wasn't even thinking about it. So there were plenty of times in the whole spring leading up to us getting engaged that I was like, it's gonna happen. Nope. So looking back on it, now that I get to talk to him about what he was thinking, I don't think he really thought about getting engaged or buying the ring until like 2 weeks before he did it. So I spent a good 6 months of, oh, it's gonna happen, and Nope, he wasn't even thinking about it. So our families once again went on to a cruise, and it was May, and I was like, you know what? It's gonna be this summer sometime. I had started to realize that I might need to give him some more time. So I was like, sometime after graduating to the end of summer, it should happen within that time range. So we got onto the cruise, and of course, I was like, it could happen now. So of course it did happen on the cruise, and I was very happy that he did it at the start of the cruise. So I didn't have to spend the whole week of, oh, it could happen now, it could happen now. So when he did finally propose, he did it in a great way. I was very excited still, so it was good.
And the land is dark, and the moon is the only.
So the night Adam proposed, he had planned a family photo shoot on the cruise. He scheduled a time with a photographer to take the entire family around the cruise ship and take pictures. So for me, that's very stressful almost. I don't like taking pictures. I smile funky. And so I was like, well, his mom's probably gonna find one of these pictures she likes and it's gonna be on the wall. So in my head the whole time was, don't ruin the family photo. Don't ruin the family photo. So each time we went to take pictures, I was definitely caught up into the don't look weird, smile right, all the stuff that I normally ruin pictures in. So he found a great way to distract me because I was not thinking of, he's gonna propose, he's gonna propose. So he did a great job there. We went around to several different places. It was probably the 4th place we went, and the photographer started to arrange us. He put Adam and I in the center, his mom and dad over to the side, and then Gina and Adam over to the other side. And I was like, why are we in the center of attention? I don't like being the center of attention. I was almost to the point of, no, your parents should be in the center. So thankfully I didn't speak up, because as soon as he got everyone set, the photographer was like, all right, Adam, if you want to do it now. What is he talking about? And so Adam pulls out the ring, drops to one knee, and it was great. He proposed, and obviously the photographer was there. He got it all, which I love, because now we have great pictures. But looking back, it's funny hearing Adam's side of it, of he didn't want to put his knee into a puddle of water and all this other stuff. So there were tons of things that he was thinking of that day that I didn't even catch on to. I didn't notice the ring box because he didn't have it on him. He was smart there. And I really didn't see it coming, so he did a great job with it.
Stand by me. Come on and help me, babe. I need a little love. Come on and stand by me.
So the engagement ring and wedding ring is a bit different. We decided on a colored stone. Blue is my favorite color, and Adam had brought up about a year ago of, what about a different colored stone for the engagement ring? What do you think? And I was like, well, diamond's traditional and I'm fine with that. But we went on tons of cruises, and of course they had tanzanite everywhere, and I just fell in love with the stone. So every time we would get off in a port, he's like, let's go look at rings. And so he did, I guess in his mind, start a year ahead of time asking me what I wanted in a ring, and we'd look at different ones and I'd be like, I love the band on that one, or the stone in that one, or the color, and all the C's of picking out a ring. And so we got onto the cruise ship when he actually proposed, and he wanted to go back into the shop they have on the ship and start looking at rings again. And in my head I was like, no, he better have bought a ring by now. And so he went in there and he's like, well, what about this one? Let's look at this one. And I was like, no, we're not doing it this time. And so in my head I was like, we're not looking at him because he better have already picked out a ring. But hopefully I didn't give it away or anything or disappoint him that I didn't want to look at rings anymore. But he did a great job designing it. He went through, I think the designer was in Europe somewhere that he talked to, and it's cool now hearing the story of how long it took to design it, all the pieces he picked out in it, and it's exactly everything we wanted in other rings we looked at. So when he proposed, obviously I got to see the ring for the first time, and he did a great job. The funny part about it was that he showed it to so many of y'all beforehand, is when I got off the ship, everyone's comment of, oh, let me see the ring, which I thought it would have been, was, oh, I've seen this before, let me see it in person. And so I'm glad all of y'all like it, because I love it, and he did a really good job. So guys, that was our story. Maybe some more details you didn't know about us before.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't have shared all of those details with you, but you know now.
I'm sure you heard the whole "we met on campus" story from Adam before.
Morgan, you don't need nothing. So guys, we probably should be entering pretty soon. I think the pictures are probably about this time being finished up.
I'm rushing them along.
If I know Morgan, she is really rushing them along. But I hope that you enjoy some more cookies and hot chocolate.
Eat as much as you want.
Save the groom some cookies. But we should be in soon as the new Mr. and Mrs. Pate, and ready to bring the night down with you guys and get your dancing shoes ready, and we look forward to seeing you all. Let's say something.
No, I'm not.
Like bye.
And all of them. Bye.
Sounds good.
In this man's world.